Imagine reaching the absolute pinnacle of human achievement. Like you have the ultimate authority.
Right.
Unfathomable wealth, a totally secure legacy, and, the unquestioned adoration of millions.
The dream, basically.
Exactly. The dream. You spent your entire life climbing to the very top of the hierarchy. And then you wake up one morning, you look around at all of this accumulated success, and you just feel this cold, terrifying emptiness.
Oh, yeah.
Just this sudden, crushing realization that that every single thing you've built is temporary, and that mortality is coming for you just as quickly as it's coming for the poorest person you know.
It is the ultimate existential nightmare.
Yeah.
When the external metrics of success just completely fail to provide any internal security whatsoever.
Which is exactly the crisis that we are unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into this really fascinating ancient text called the Śrī Gaṇeśa Gītā. And it's just this profound 11-chapter philosophical dialogue. It's nestled within a much larger work, the Śrī Gaṇeśa Purāṇa. And our mission for this deep dive is to basically extract this incredibly dense ancient cosmic wisdom and translate it into, well, actionable mechanics for the modern mind. Yeah. Because it really does apply.
It absolutely applies. And what's fascinating here is that it is a remarkable text because it doesn't just offer one single, narrow solution.
Yeah.
It offers a masterclass in synthesis. It merges the physical and mental disciplines of yoga with the rigorous non-dual philosophy of Vedānta.
And Vedānta is
That's the understanding that all of reality is just one indivisible whole.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so it merges that with bhakti, which is deep emotional devotion or surrender. It takes these three distinct paths and weaves them into a single workable framework.
And the framing device for all of this, the narrative, is the story of King Vareṇya.
Right.
So he is the guy who has it all. But he is currently suffering from basically catastrophic burnout.
Yeah, total burnout.
He is gripped by what the text calls samsara,
yeah,
which is this agonizing cyclical bondage of worldly existence where, everything you love is eventually going to be taken away by time.
It's the anxiety of impermanence.
Exactly. So he seeks out the ultimate teacher to find a remedy. He approaches Lord Gajānana, who is Lord Gajānana. But in this text, Ganesha isn't just the familiar, friendly deity of beginnings who removes obstacles.
Oh, far from it. Here, Ganesha manifests as the supreme, all-encompassing divine reality.
Right.
He is the teacher, the creator, and the cosmos itself, all rolled into one. And when King Vareṇya asks him, how do I fix this existential dread? How do I find true connection?
Yeah.
Ganesha's response completely upends our entire concept of what yoga actually means.
Right, because when we hear the word yoga today, the immediate association is, a studio, a mat, and some deep stretching.
Lululemon and downward dog.
Exactly. But the literal translation of the Sanskrit word yoga is union.
Union, yeah.
It is about what you are tethering your consciousness to. So Vareṇya wants to know what he should unite with to stop suffering. And Ganesha starts by explicitly defining what yoga is not.
Right. He strips away every conventional safety net you can think of. He tells the king that true union is not union with wealth. It is not union with sensory objects or, the accumulation of beautiful things. He specifically targets the king's own attachments, stating that ruling a kingdom with legions of elephants and horses is absolutely not yoga.
It's so direct.
Oh, he goes further. He even targets emotional safety nets, saying it is not about the emotional attachment to your family, your relatives, or even a beautiful partner.
Wow. And he even goes after the spiritual goals, right? The things that practitioners typically strive for.
Yeah.
He says yoga isn't about acquiring mystical superpowers, the siddhis.
Right.
He even points to the highest possible celestial achievements, like literally attaining the thrones of the gods. He says becoming Indra or reaching the heavenly realms of Brahma, Shiva, or Vishnu.
None of that is true yoga.
None of it.
I know.
Which is such a radical statement.
It really is.
To tell a practitioner that even going to heaven is not the ultimate goal.
Right.
Why? Because according to the text, even those heavenly realms are temporary.
Exactly. They are still part of the material universe, which means they're still subject to decay and rebirth.
Right.
If you unite yourself with something temporary, you will eventually experience loss, and therefore you will suffer. It's just a longer timeline.
Okay, let's unpack this logic here. If ultimate success isn't wealth, it's not power, family, supernatural abilities, or literally ascending to heaven.
Yeah.
What is the alternative? How does Ganesha actually redefine this union?
He redefines it as a state of non-dual awareness.
Okay.
He tells King Vareṇya that true yoga is the vision that perceives complete oneness among all deities, all elements, and all living beings. And the supreme standard he sets is this. He says a true yogi looks at a lump of clay, a stone, and a piece of gold with an entirely equal eye.
Oh, wow. That is a really fascinating mental exercise. Like gold and dirt registering is the exact same thing to your brain.
Yeah, try doing that today.
I mean, it feels impossible for a modern person driven by commerce to genuinely look at a brick of gold and a clump of mud and not feel a huge spike of desire for one over the other.
Right. It feels impossible because our brains are completely conditioned to assign value based on utility, scarcity, societal agreement,
Yeah, exactly. The market dictates the feeling.
But the text is asking the practitioner to look past that societal projection and observe the underlying physics of reality.
Sure.
To the enlightened mind, the gold and the clay are just different temporary arrangements of the exact same elemental dust.
Right.
In this text, Ganesha reveals himself as that singular underlying reality. He states that from him originate fire, water, earth, space, and wind.
He's the source code.
Exactly. He is the singular Lord who manifested the entire cosmos in a fivefold form.
And to help the practitioner actually achieve this perspective, because, it's a huge ask, the text provides this brilliant analogy in the first chapter.
Oh, the tortoise.
Yes, the tortoise. Ganesha compares the process to a tortoise withdrawing its limbs. He says, just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs from all directions into its shell, the practitioner intent on yoga must pull the sense gates away from sensory objects.
It's a great visual.
It really is. It reminds me of the modern necessity of, putting our overstimulated brains on airplane mode.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
Right, because we are so bombarded by external inputs, notifications, advertisements, societal pressures, just constant noise.
Constant.
We have to actively sever the connection to the external world just to find our own baseline consciousness. We have to pull the limbs in.
Right, that concept of sensory withdrawal is absolutely crucial. But the text introduces a pretty severe complication to that process.
Oh.
Yeah, it introduces the concept of Maya.
Maya, right?
Wow.
The illusion.
Exactly. Maya is the cosmic illusion, the fundamental architecture of the material universe that basically binds souls to physical existence.
Okay.
And this illusion subjects us to 6 inescapable modifications: birth, existence, growth, transformation, decay, and death.
So basically, even if we try to withdraw, we are still trapped in a vessel that is constantly mutating.
Yes. And the psychological trap is even deeper. The text warns that even if you execute that tortoise maneuver flawlessly,
Right.
even if you go full airplane mode, move into a cave, and shut off all external stimuli, the craving for those objects remains embedded in your mind.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So the physical withdrawal is merely the prerequisite.
It's step 1, but it doesn't solve the problem.
I can totally see how that plays out. Like, you isolate yourself in the quiet woods to escape the rat race, right?
Yeah.
But your mind is still churning. You're obsessing over the promotion you walked away from, or wondering what people back in the city are saying about you.
Exactly.
The senses are offline, but the internal narrative is still running at maximum speed.
Because the craving doesn't live in the object, it lives in the mind.
Right.
The text makes it very clear that this lingering craving only dissolves upon the direct internal realization of the supreme oneness we just discussed.
The gold in the clay.
Right. Until you experience that realization, you are just a hungry tortoise hiding in the dark.
A hungry tortoise in the dark. That's a bleak image.
It is.
Which naturally brings up a massive structural problem in this philosophy. And I think anyone listening might arrive at the same conclusion.
What's that?
Well, if sensory objects are an illusion and my own cravings are the root of my suffering, then the most logical solution seems to be complete paralysis.
Yeah.
Like, if taking action in the world causes me to crave results, shouldn't I just quit my job, sit perfectly still, and do absolutely nothing?
Right.
If action is the disease, inaction must be the cure. Right.
It is the most common pitfall in spiritual philosophy, bar none. And the Śrī Gaṇeśa Gītā anticipates it perfectly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ganesha vehemently rejects the idea of premature renunciation. He tells Vareṇya that true inaction is literally impossible.
Impossible.
We are physical beings, and we are inextricably bound by the gunas, which are the fundamental qualities of material nature.
Okay, so biology forces our hand.
Exactly. Your lungs must draw breath. Your cells must divide. Your body requires sustenance. You are forced to act by the very laws of physics.
And the text doesn't hold back when critiquing people who try to fake this state of inaction.
It goes after them.
It brutally calls out the hypocrite. It describes someone who, forcefully restrains their physical organs of action. So maybe they sit in a perfectly rigid meditation posture, appearing entirely detached to everyone looking at them.
Right.
But in their internal landscape, they are intensely dwelling on sensory objects.
It is a devastating critique of performative spirituality.
Yeah.
The text argues that restraining the body while the mind runs wild is not just ineffective, it is actually a state of deplorable conduct.
Deplorable conduct. Wow.
Because it's dishonest. True renunciation isn't about halting action. It is about fundamentally altering your relationship to the fruits of the action.
The fruits, meaning the reward.
Exactly. This is the sophisticated mechanism of karma yoga, or selfless action.
Okay, let's break down that mechanism, because Ganesha explains that actions performed for selfish gratification literally bind the soul, right? They create karmic residue. But if you perform your prescribed duty as a dedicated offering to the divine, entirely free from personal craving for the result, it acts like a sword.
That's the metaphor, yeah.
The text says, this kind of action severs the mighty sprouts arising from the dormant seeds of karma.
Which is such a powerful image. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it introduces the overarching principle of lokasagra.
Lokasagraha.
Yes, which basically means acting for the guidance, cohesion, and welfare of the world. Ganesha points to himself as the ultimate proof of this concept. He tells King Vareṇya, look at me. There is nothing in the three worlds that I need to accomplish. I have absolutely everything, yet I continue to engage in action.
Right, because he's the cosmos.
Right. And why does he do it? Because if the divine simply stopped acting out of detachment or, lethargy, the entire cosmic order would collapse. The planets would halt. Society would crumble.
Okay, I have to push back on this concept of absolute detachment.
Sure, go for it.
Because it sounds beautiful in a philosophical vacuum. But applied to human psychology, it seems flawed. Like if a person is completely 100% unattached to the result of their work, where does the motivation come from?
That's the big question.
Right. If I don't care about getting a promotion or earning a paycheck or even getting the satisfaction of a job well done, won't I just build a terrible bridge? Won't I be a completely apathetic ruler?
Yeah.
It seems like detachment would just lead to profound mediocrity.
It is a very modern capitalist anxiety, right? The fear that without the carrot of personal reward, human beings will just stop trying.
Yeah, exactly.
But the text provides a profound definition of yoga to counter that exact fear. Ganesha says, yoga is supreme skill in the execution of duty.
Supreme skill.
Selfless action is not apathy, it is absolute mastery.
But if the drive isn't coming from greed or the fear of failure, what fuels that skill? Where's the gas in the tank coming from?
The drive shifts. Instead of trying to extract value from the world, your action becomes an exercise in inner purification.
Okay.
Think about the friction involved in selfish action. When you are performing a task solely for the reward, you are constantly distracted.
That's true.
You are plagued by the anxiety of, what if I fail? Or the resentment of, I'm not being paid enough for this. Your ego is consuming massive amounts of bandwidth.
Oh, wow. So the attachment to the reward is actually a computational drain on the brain.
Precisely. When you remove that friction, you are entirely present in the action itself. You execute the duty beautifully, because doing it beautifully is your offering to cosmic harmony.
That makes a lot of sense.
The text uses a really powerful meteorological metaphor here to explain this mechanism. It talks about the two great destroyers of the human intellect, which are desire and anger.
Desire and anger.
Right. It says these two forces veil our wisdom just as vapor conceals water, or as dense monsoon clouds obscure the sun.
So desire and anger are the clouds.
Yes. When you are driven by selfish desire or angered when that desire is thwarted, your intellect is obscured.
Right, you're operating in a fog.
Exactly. You make poor decisions, you cut corners to get to the reward faster. Karma yoga clears those monsoon clouds. It allows the intellect to operate with supreme clarity, enabling that supreme skill because the ego is no longer in the driver's seat.
Which makes perfect logical sense. But, I mean, let's be honest about the human experience here.
Always a good idea.
Knowing that we should act without desire and anger is incredibly easy. Like, I can understand the theory of karma yoga right now, sitting here.
Sure.
But actually executing it in the heat of the moment. When a business partner betrays you, or you face a catastrophic personal loss.
Right, when the stakes are high.
Yeah. Maintaining that supreme skill feels nearly impossible.
The author of the text clearly understood that limitation, which is why the Śrī Gaṇeśa Gītā does not abandon King Vareṇya in the realm of high-minded theory.
Okay, good.
It seamlessly pivots into the practical physiological mechanics of the mind. It asks, how do we actually build the toolkit to stabilize this physical vessel so we can perform these selfless actions?
Because Vareṇya is incredibly relatable in this moment. He basically turns to Ganesha and says, look, my mind is corrupt.
He's very honest.
He says it is turbulent, and it is entirely elusive. I cannot control it.
Yeah.
And Ganesha validates this struggle. He uses this really striking mechanical analogy. He compares the untrained, transmigrating mind to a Persian water wheel, a Gayantra.
It is a brilliant piece of ancient engineering used as a psychological metaphor.
He describes the mind as this massive wheel locked in place by the pin of our karmic impressions and fitted with the jagged saw teeth of sense objects.
Right, the teeth just tearing into you.
And it just endlessly revolves, grinding away, pulling buckets of water up only to empty them out and crash back down.
It perfectly captures the visceral exhaustion of anxiety.
Yeah.
The mind endlessly churning, the jagged teeth of our desires catching our attention and just dragging us under. So, to interrupt this mechanical churning, the text prescribes a direct physiological intervention.
Which is?
Prāṇāyāma, or the rigorous control of the breath.
Right. And it provides a highly specific, almost algorithmic approach to breathwork. It categorizes the practices by syllables or matras. So it lists the 12-count breath as mild, 24 as medium, and 36 as superior.
But what is truly fascinating here is the text's uncompromising emphasis on the physical environment where this practice takes place.
Yes, the rules are wild.
This isn't a mindfulness exercise you can just casually do on a crowded subway to calm down. The text provides a stringent list of places where meditation and breathwork are strictly forbidden.
Yeah, the list is incredibly specific. It mandates that you must not meditate in noisy places, in dilapidated structures, near open fires, near deep water, in cremation grounds, by crumbling walls, or, and this is my personal favorite, on anthills.
Anthills, yeah, it sounds highly superstitious at first glance, right?
Very.
But there is a profound physiological mechanism at play here. The text explicitly warns that ignoring these environmental rules will cause severe physical afflictions. It lists memory loss, muteness, paralysis, and fever.
Okay, I have to ask, how does sitting near a crumbling wall or an anthill cause a fever?
Because the ancient yogis understood that advanced breathwork profoundly alters the central nervous system.
Okay.
When you engage in intense prāṇāyāma, you are deliberately lowering your physiological defenses to open the mind. You are hacking your autonomic nervous system. If you do this in an environment that subconsciously registers as dangerous, like a crumbling structure that might fall on you, or deep water you might fall into, or an anthill where you might get swarmed by insects, your nervous system is receiving deeply conflicting signals.
Ah, I see. Your conscious mind is trying to force extreme relaxation, but your amygdala is screaming that you're in a physically precarious environment.
Exactly. You end up inducing trauma in the nervous system rather than finding peace.
Oh, wow.
The resulting dissonance can manifest as severe somatic symptoms, the fever, the cognitive disruption. You have to secure the physical perimeter before you can safely dismantle the psychological one.
Here's where it gets really interesting, too, because the text uses another vivid analogy for this process of breath control.
Right, the animals.
Yes. It compares taming the breath to taming wild beasts, specifically a lion, a tiger, or a wild elephant.
Yeah, don't mess with an elephant.
Exactly. You don't just walk into a cage and try to wrestle a tiger into submission on day one. No. If you force the breath or approach it with aggression, it will destroy you, just like a wild animal. You have to approach it gradually, respecting its power. The text compares the process to ascending a flight of stairs, step by cautious step.
And the ultimate goal of climbing those stairs is not merely stress relief. It's not just chilling out.
Right.
It is deeply metaphysical. By mastering the incoming breath, the prāṇāyāma, and the outgoing breath, the apana, the text claims the practitioner is literally burning away the latent impressions of past sins.
Burning them away.
They stabilize the mind to such a degree that they can attain knowledge of the past and future without harming the physical body. And this culminates in the state of the Jivan Mukta.
The one who is liberated while living.
Yes. You do not have to wait until physical death to escape the Persian water wheel.
That's a huge point.
It is. The Jivanmukta operates within the world, fully alive, breathing and acting, going about their day, but their consciousness is completely untethered from the churning machinery of karma.
So if we follow the progression here, we have secured a safe environment. No anthills.
Check.
We are gradually taming the breath like a tiger. Check. And the turbulent mind is beginning to stabilize. But to maintain that stability, we have to deeply understand the substance of the mind itself, right?
Oh, do?
We have to look at the psychological forces driving us.
Which leads us into a profound exploration of human psychology. The text introduces the framework of the three gunas.
The gunas, okay.
These are the fundamental qualities or modes of material nature. Everything in the material universe, including the chemical makeup of our own consciousness, is driven by a fluctuating mixture of these three forces.
Let's unpack these because they offer an incredibly accurate diagnostic tool for human behavior even today.
Oh, absolutely.
The first is sattva.
Sattva is the force of illumination, tranquility, happiness, and wisdom.
The good stuff.
Right. When you experience a moment of profound clarity, when your mind is peaceful and you are naturally drawn toward compassionate action without any underlying agenda, that is the sattva guna dominating your psychological landscape.
Got it. Then there was rajas. This is the kinetic energy of the mind. It is characterized by greed, agitation, longing, and feverish ambition. It's that relentless hunger that can never quite be satisfied.
It is the energy of creation and initiation, sure, but it is inherently devoid of peace.
Right.
It is always leaning into the future, always striving for the next acquisition. And finally, there is tamas.
The heavy one.
The heavy one. This is the force of delusion, inertia, spiritual ignorance, negligence, and literal sleep.
Just dead weight.
Exactly. When you feel sluggish, profoundly apathetic, or when you find yourself repeatedly trapped in destructive, ignorant patterns, that is tamas exerting its gravitational pull on your mind.
The text makes a really fascinating point about these gunas. It states that they dictate the karmic weight of literally every action we take.
Yes.
And it uses the act of charity as an example to prove this, which is brilliant. Because on paper, giving to charity is universally considered a good action, right?
Everyone says charity is good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the text argues that the physical action is irrelevant. The guna driving the action determines the outcome.
Yes, the intention dictates the karma. So, sattvic charity is giving to a worthy recipient at the appropriate time purely because it is the right thing to do without expecting a single favor or acknowledgement in return.
Pure selflessness.
Right.
Whereas rajasic charity is transactional.
Highly transactional.
It is given reluctantly or specifically to extract a reward, like making a public donation solely to get your name on a building or, to secure a tax advantage.
Right. The underlying energy is still greedy. It's rajas.
And tamasic charity is dark.
It is. It is giving with contempt or giving to unworthy recipients who will just use it for harm.
Like funding something destructive.
Yeah, or it is the act of throwing coins at someone while insulting them. The physical mechanics are identical, money changing hands, but the psychological intent completely transforms the nature of the act.
Okay, so building on this framework of the gunas, Ganesha outlines three overarching categories of human nature. There is the divine nature, which is driven by sattva and leads to ultimate liberation. There is the demoniac nature, driven by rajas, which leads to bondage through vanity, wrath, and false knowledge.
And
then the monstrous nature, driven by tamas, characterized by cruelty, malevolent sorcery, and a vicious intolerance for the prosperity of others.
Which is a chilling description.
It is. And it lists the four great gateways to this infernal suffering: lust, greed, anger, and deceitful pride.
It is a stark categorization.
I have to interject here, though, because looking at the monstrous and demoniac natures, it sounds incredibly fatalistic.
How so?
Well, if someone is born with a heavy predisposition toward tamas, right, if they possess this monstrous nature, are they simply doomed? In a framework that takes karma and past lives into account, are people permanently trapped in these dark categories?
This raises an important question, and it's one a lot of people struggle with in Eastern philosophy, but the Śrī Gaṇeśa Gītā handles it with remarkable grace. It is definitively not a fatalistic text. It explicitly states that the soul always retains the capacity to elevate itself. The text specifically addresses the concept of the fallen yogi.
The fallen yogi. Meaning someone who tried and failed.
Exactly. Someone who embarks on the path of selfless action but completely fails, either due to a lack of discipline or just being overwhelmed by desire.
So if they fail, they aren't cast into some permanent hell.
No, not at all. The text assures Vareṇya that no one who performs virtuous deeds ever falls into permanent ruin.
Okay, that's a relief.
Right. The fallen practitioner is reborn into a pure or yogic environment, and this is the vital mechanism. They are reawakened by their samskaras, which are the latent impressions and spiritual momentum from their previous efforts. They are magnetically drawn back to the path to pick up exactly where they left off.
Oh, wow. So the effort is fundamentally conserved.
Exactly. Like energy in physics, it's not destroyed.
Yeah.
And the text goes even further, using the power of devotion to completely shatter rigid societal barriers.
Which would have been huge at the time.
Massive. In an era where the caste system was highly formalized and exclusionary, Ganesha makes a radically subversive claim. He states that even an outcast who worships with pure, unswerving devotion is considered spiritually superior to a high-born, ritualistic scholar who lacks devotion.
Wow.
The purity of the heart completely overrides societal status, past mistakes, or the accumulation of academic knowledge.
That is a profound democratization of spirituality.
It really is.
Okay, so we have traversed the mechanics of the mind. We have explored the breath, selfless action, the gunas, and the nature of karma. We have arrived at the climax of the deep dive.
The big moment.
The big moment. King Vareṇya has absorbed all this incredible philosophy. He understands it intellectually, but he is still a human being driven by a need for empirical proof.
Right. He wants to see.
He turns to Ganesha and essentially says, look, the theory is flawless, but I need to see it. Show me this ultimate non-dual reality you are talking about.
Vareṇya is asking to perceive Ganesha not merely as the philosophical teacher sitting before him, but as the underlying architecture of the universe itself.
The source code.
Yes, he is asking for the Viśvarūpa darshana, the vision of the universal cosmic form.
But Ganesha immediately informs him of a biological limitation, right? He tells the king, you cannot see this with your mortal eyes.
Right.
To facilitate this, Ganesha has to grant Vareṇya the Jnanakako, the spiritual eye of divine wisdom. Now, why is the biological eye insufficient for this?
Because the mortal eye is evolved to perceive localized sequential data.
Okay.
It is designed to help a primate navigate a physical environment, to find food, to spot predators. It literally cannot process the infinite simultaneous reality of the cosmos. It requires a metaphysical upgrade to perceive the absolute.
And when that spiritual eye opens, the description of what Vareṇya sees is staggering.
That's intense.
It is breathtaking, and frankly, it is deeply terrifying. He beholds the Viśvarūpa.
The text pulls no punches in its description here. Vareṇya sees infinite arms, infinite heads, and infinite eyes. The form is blazing like the apocalyptic fire of cosmic dissolution.
Wow.
It is wielding weapons that radiate with the intensity of 10 million suns. And contained within the single, massive, impossible body, Vareṇya witnesses all the gods, all the demons, every human being, the oceans, the mountains, the netherworlds.
Everything.
Everything. Every single thing that has ever existed or will ever exist, all happening simultaneously in one terrifying singularity.
He also sees the terrifying fangs of time embedded in this cosmic form crushing worlds. And Vareṇya, who just moments ago was begging to see the truth, completely panics.
He loses it.
He is utterly overwhelmed by the blazing mouths and the sheer scale of the vision. He begs Ganesha to withdraw it, pleading with him to return to his Samyarupa.
Which is his gentle, serene, localized form.
Right.
He realizes that direct, unmitigated exposure to the absolute is too much for a localized consciousness to bear.
So what does this all mean? Like, I was trying to conceptualize why he reacts with such terror instead of awe. And the closest analogy I can think of is attempting to download the entire internet directly into your visual cortex.
Oh, that's a brilliant comparison.
Imagine trying to process every website, every video, every language, every beautiful piece of art, and every horrific act of violence simultaneously with no search engine and no firewall.
It would result in immediate cognitive collapse.
Yes. The mechanism of the human brain requires filtering. We literally need the gentle form, our localized, step-by-step, sequential perception of reality, just to function without our nervous system short-circuiting.
Right.
The raw, unfiltered data of the cosmos includes boundless creation, but it also includes infinite destruction, decay, and a vastness that renders the human ego entirely meaningless.
That is an excellent way to frame the mechanism of perception. The gentle form isn't a lie, right? It is a necessary interface.
A user interface for reality.
Exactly. And while in this heightened state of cosmic revelation, Ganesha explains the ultimate trajectory of the soul, detailing the two cosmic paths of departure at the time of death.
Okay, this is a critical component of the text's cosmology. The luminous path and the dark path.
Right.
Let's explore the mechanics of these paths, because they sound incredibly esoteric.
They are deeply symbolic, yet they represent the literal trajectory of consciousness. The luminous path is associated with fire, daytime, and the bright fortnight of the moon.
Okay, so brightness, clarity.
Right. It represents the trajectory of the enlightened practitioner, the one who has burned away their karmic attachments through the selfless action and breathwork we discussed.
The karma yoga.
Yes. When this soul departs the body, it travels along this trajectory of illumination and merges into the ultimate reality, achieving absolute liberation.
They do not return to the Persian water wheel.
They break the cycle and the alternative.
The dark path is associated with smoke, nighttime, and the dark fortnight of the moon.
Obscured. Exactly. This is the path of the soul still heavily burdened by the gunas of rajas and tamas, still clouded by desire and ignorance.
Still clinging to the results.
Yes. When this soul departs, it travels through the obscurity of smoke, eventually returning to the cycle of transmigration. It is drawn back into a new physical body by the gravitational pull of its own unfulfilled cravings.
Wow. Which brings a profound sense of urgency to the entire dialogue. Ganesha is laying out the ultimate stakes here.
He is.
But having shown Vareṇya the terrifying vastness of the cosmos, the 10 million suns, and the strict mechanics of karma and departure, Ganesha brings the entire philosophical framework back down to a remarkably accessible, grounded conclusion.
He brings it to the path of bhakti, or devotion.
Right, because you cannot simply logic your way into comprehending 10 million suns.
No, you really can't.
You cannot intellectually outmaneuver the infinite.
Precisely. Ganesha states unequivocally that this ultimate cosmic reality cannot be truly known merely by reciting the Vedas, or by performing austere penance, or by giving massive amounts to charity.
No amount of studying or, throwing money at the problem will work.
You cannot force your way into the infinite through sheer effort or academic study. The infinite can only be entered into through unswerving, loving devotion. It requires complete psychological surrender.
He provides a beautiful final analogy in Chapter 11 to crystallize this concept, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Ganesha says, just as the boundless ocean is the ultimate destination of every flowing river, I alone am the final resting place of all spiritual journeys.
Wow.
It is a statement of profound synthesis. Whether you are practicing the rigorous breathwork of yoga, performing the selfless action of karma yoga, or engaging in the intellectual inquiry of Vedānta, the river of your effort is ultimately flowing toward the exact same ocean of divine surrender.
It is an incredible architectural achievement of a text.
It really is. It covers everything.
I mean, we began with King Vareṇya suffering from the ultimate modern affliction, existential burnout in the midst of abundance.
Right.
We learned that true success isn't about the accumulation of wealth or power, but the cultivation of a non-dual awareness that sees the underlying unity of reality.
The clay and the gold.
The clay and the gold, exactly. We explored the absolute necessity of karma yoga, understanding that we cannot escape action, so we must engage in the world with supreme skill, severing our attachment to the results to clear the clouds of desire and anger.
Doing the job flawlessly, but letting go of the reward.
Yes. We look at the physiological mechanics of the mind, taming the nervous system through gradual breathwork away from anthills, and diagnosing our own behaviors through the framework of the three gunas.
Sattva, rasas, and tamas.
And finally, we confronted the overwhelming firewall-breaking nature of the cosmic vision, realizing that our ultimate safety net isn't perfectly executed technique, it's surrender.
It is a complete multi-dimensional manual for navigating human existence.
It truly is. And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to examine in your own life. It builds directly on the mechanism of the fallen yogi that we discussed earlier. The text assures us that spiritual effort is fundamentally conserved. If you fail, or if your life ends before you reach your goal, you are reborn and reawakened by the samskaras.
The latent impressions.
The latent impressions and the spiritual momentum of your past practices. I want you to consider the things you are naturally drawn to in your life right now.
Oh, I love this.
Think about your spontaneous curiosities. Think about those sudden, unexplainable moments of deep inner peace you sometimes experience for no apparent reason. Or perhaps you have an unexplainable natural aptitude for a certain discipline, a specific art form, or a unique way of observing the world.
Things that just come easy to you.
Right. We are so conditioned to write these traits off as random genetic quirks, or simply the products of our childhood environment.
Yeah, nature versus nurture.
Exactly. But based on the mechanics of the Śrī Gaṇeśa Gītā, what if they aren't random variables at all? What if your current passions, your deepest intuitions, and even your most persistent psychological struggles are simply the exact save point where you left off in a previous lifetime?
A cosmic save point. That is fascinating.
Consider the profound possibility that you are not starting from scratch in this life. You are simply picking up the cosmic thread right where you dropped it.
Wow.
Until next time, keep diving deep.